Are you ready to see how special the rest of this year is really going to get for hip-hop? Because today, we're going to be looking at the most anticipated rap albums that are going to be dropping in the coming months. Now, while 2024 has already been one of the most exciting years for rap music in quite some time, I hope you're ready for even more crazy musical moments, because with the artists set to release albums throughout the rest of the year, when we look at what the next months have in store for us, this could easily become one of the best years for rap music ever. From albums that are dropping off the momentum of the industry shifting rap beef to the return of some of the genre's most revered creatives. With so many rappers getting ready to drop new music as we speak, all we can do is wait to be blown away by a storm of musical greatness like we have not seen in quite some time. So if you're ready to see the albums that you should mark your calendars for, let's waste no time and let's get right into it. Now, kicking off this list with what could possibly become the craziest album of this entire year is Kendrick Lamar, who is expected to drop an album in May, and considering the storm Kendrick created in hip-hop already this year when he teamed up with Metro Boomin and Future to diss Drake and J. Cole on Like That, if Kendrick keeps this same energy flowing throughout what would be his 6th studio album, who knows what the ceiling for this project will be. Now, when it comes to this upcoming album from Kendrick, while it has not been directly confirmed by anybody in his camp, there has been rumblings in the industry that he's dropping, and this was said to be the case by none other than Mal from the Rory and Mal podcast. And considering that he knew and heard Drake's diss track Push-Ups well before it dropped, and that he has been rooting so hard for Drake in his beef with Kendrick, Mal has both inside information from the industry, and he would have no reason to say anything in support of Kendrick Lamar releasing new music, because with a new album, considering the feud he's in with Drake, I think it's safe to say that we can expect a response either on the project itself, or with the single right before it releases, which would be the perfect opportunity for Kendrick to drop the Hard Part 6 and just set the rap world on fire again. Now, I think outside of a Drake diss and maybe some bars about the entire way the J. Cole feud ended, it's impossible to guess what Kendrick will do on an album, as he has shown us every time we think he's gonna go one way that he will do the exact opposite. But as this album is only gonna come out about 2 years after the release of his last studio album, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, I do think this project will be less conceptually focused for Kendrick standards and may just showcase to us a version of Lamar where he is just rapping for the sheer sport of it. And I think after all the narratives that rappers like Drake and J. Cole have tried to push about Mr. Morale being a boring record, I think seeing Kendrick just rap relentlessly will be perfect for this very moment. Now, whether Kendrick goes in this direction or he does something else, I am sure that he will deliver another quality record that will definitely be within the album of the year conversation. And although this record is not 100% confirmed, considering everything else going on in hip-hop right now, I would expect to see something big from Kendrick coming very soon. Now, when it comes to an album that is confirmed, this year will be giving to us the return of Childish Gambino, as Donald Glover is gearing up to go on one last run before retiring the Gambino persona as a whole, but with Gambino planning on releasing a revised version of his polarizing 2020 album 3:15:20 called Activista. And following this up, he will be releasing the final Gambino album, which is going to accompany a film of the same name, Bando Stone and the New World, with Gambino working on an album and a movie at the same time. It seems like the creative worlds he has dominated in for over a decade are going to come together in this climactic moment, and if you had any worry that Gambino working on 2 major projects like this at once would hinder their quality, he has already previewed songs from this new album on his Gilga radio station, and as he played one track that featured Kid Cudi and another that featured Kanye West, it's clear that nobody should be worried that these projects won't deliver at all, as these cuts sounded like some of not just Gambino's best in years, but also Ye and Cudi's, as they both sounded so inspired and rejuvenated, especially Kanye West, who delivered arguably his best rapping performance in over a decade on the spacey song titled Say Less. Now, as Gambino has said that this final album is being crafted to be a soundtrack for his fans, it seems like he is making this album to embody everything that people have wanted to see from him from the years, but also so much more, as from the cryptic rollout we have seen so far, which has featured snippets and vocal monologues that create more questions than answers, it seems like on top of this album giving us dream collaborations like Gambino and Ye, it seems like it's also going to be a mind-shattering concept album that will serve as the finale of one of the most creative careers the rap world has ever seen, and when it does drop, who knows how it's going to change Gambino's legacy. Now, speaking of Kanye West, despite him just straight out lying about when Vultures 2 and 3 would originally be coming out, it seems like he is finally gearing up to release the second installment of the series, as he said himself that Vultures 2 will be dropping on May 3rd, and while the first Vultures album was definitely a commercial success for Ye as it broke independent sales records, it even earned him his first #1 hit since Stronger. If Ye wants to build on the momentum of the first project and give us something that will be even bigger than it, I think it's clear at this point that him and Ty Dolla $ign are going to have to come with a body of work that is a lot more focused and cohesive, as since Kendrick Lamar's Like That verse has dropped, the bar for rap music has been set way higher, and as Kanye has joined the feud himself, his new music will be judged in comparison to everything else going on. Now don't get me wrong, Vultures 1 had a ton of great songs from Kanye that displayed that he is still one of the most creative producers and curators in the game, but as Ye has now officially inserted himself in as a major player in all the beef going on as he dissed both Drake and J. Cole, it's clear that he is going to have to come a lot harder in the bars department if he even wants to be respected by his adversaries in this regard at this point, as because of the nature of what he said on his Like That remix with Future and Metro Boomin, this album is going to be looked at through an even more critical lens than the first one did, as Kanye's bars and performances are going to be judged to see how they stack up to the guys he's beefing with. Now Kanye has shown flashes of him still being a great writer on a track like Burn on Vultures, and even with the snippet we just saw from him and Gambino, and while I think it's guaranteed that Vultures 2 will give us some more bangers where we'll see Ye's production, Ty's vocals, and whoever's featured shine through, I think to make this project a truly meaningful addition to Ye's catalog that can give him an edge against Cole and especially Drake, it's a must that he comes hard in the bars department or doesn't come at all. Now with all that said, who knows if Vultures 2 will drop on time, as with all Kanye albums, you truly never know until it's out for a while, and with Vultures 3 still rumored to be on the way, considering the gap of time we have waited now between the first and the second installment, I would expect that if it ever does drop, it won't be released till the end of the year. Now when it comes to all the beef in hip hop right now, while J. Cole's apology to Kendrick Lamar has definitely hurt the hype for his upcoming projects and maybe even pushed them back another year as a whole, when it comes to the Dreamville camp, we are still expected to see JID in full force later this year, as he will be releasing his follow-up to his phenomenal 2022 album The Forever Story with his new LP Forever and a Day. Now, while not much is known about this album beyond its title, what we do know is that JID has already turned it in, so I would bet that it will be coming pretty soon, and considering the success that JID has seen over the past few years and how established he has become in the rap world, I'd bet that there will be some crazy collaborations on this project, but with JID. His 2024 run is not stopping here, because right alongside this record, he's also expected to release a collab album with none other than Metro Boomin, and as J. Cole backed out of this feud and didn't fight Kendrick, Future, and Metro alongside Drake, this is probably going to be the best thing we got out of all of that, as now Metro and Dreamville still have good relations, and with this being Metro's third album that he has planned to release this year, this is the final album that he's talked about releasing in 2024, and considering the unique style that both JID brings to the mic and Metro brings to the boards, in a year for Metro that's already elevated him to new heights, this could end up being the record that is the greatest of them all, as by teaming up the biggest producer in trap music with the sharpest lyricist coming up right now, these two have the chance to birth a new era in hip-hop where once again, lyricism is directly married to the most sought-after production in the mainstream. Now with this album, as JID is going on tour with 21 Savage this summer and Metro and Future are doing the same, I wouldn't expect this album to drop until the end of the year when they are both off the road, but with these two coming off the releases of other albums and tours. While we don't know how this combination is going to end up sounding, after the runs they will have to that point, this could end up being a victory lap project that is truly unlike anything else. Now speaking of collab albums, when it comes to rappers and producers uniting, while JID and Metro Boomin may be the hottest duo that everybody wants to see right now, another album we have coming that has been in the making for 30 entire years is Nas and DJ Premier's long-awaited collab project, and with this record, this is truly one of the most special offerings hip-hop will ever receive, as this LP isn't just breaking new ground, as we are going to hear Nas 30 years after the release of his genre-defining debut album Illmatic, but we're going to see a full record between him and the most important producer who he's ever worked with in DJ Premier. Now with Nas and Primo, this is a collab album that is long overdue, but despite the fact that they have made us wait so long for this once-in-a-lifetime moment, as Nas is still as sharp as ever as an MC and Premier's production skills have evolved gracefully into the modern era. Although these two are way past the age of nearly any hip-hop artist who are still making music at a high level today, as Nas and Premier have continued to master their craft and innovate their arsenal over time. This album still has the potential to be amongst their very best, as if Nas and Hit Boy were able to give us such great albums with the Magic and especially King's Disease series, it's truly going to be scary to see what Nas and Primo can achieve together after all this time building chemistry. Now, when it comes to legends releasing new albums in 2024, another one of the most iconic MCs to ever walk the earth is also going to be dropping an album with Eminem, who will be releasing his first record in over 4 years with what will be his 12th studio album, and as this was confirmed by none other than Dr. Dre himself, it's safe to say that this isn't 100% locked to actually come out. Now with Eminem, compared to somebody like Nas, it's not ridiculous to say that he hasn't aged as gracefully, but with that said, despite all the shortcomings of his recent work, he has still shown flashes of greatness, and really, what's clear throughout all of his recent efforts is that if he can lock in with the right producers and with the right creative direction, he can still deliver something special, and hopefully, with this long of a break after releasing 3 albums and a B-sides project between 2017 and 2020 that were all direct responses to one another, M's creative juices are refreshed and he is past all of the hate and controversy that the previous era of his career brought, so overall, he can deliver to us a project that truly embodies the version of Marshall Mathers that we all know and love and want to see at this point in his career. Now, considering that all of Eminem's albums from the late 2010s to the early 2020s got better than the last, and the fact that Dr. Dre has had some sort of creative input on the project as he was the one who told us that it was on the way himself, while I wouldn't set crazy expectations for this project that will lead you to disappointment, everything is leading to the idea that this will be Eminem's best album since the Marshall Mathers LP 2. And as it's going to be super interesting to even hear what Eminem will sound like in 2024, regardless of what this LP ends up being for better or for worse, I am sure that it's going to have everybody talking. Now, when it comes to an album that people have been waiting for so long that they are starting to lose hope that it will ever release, nothing has frustrated listeners more than A$AP Rocky and his upcoming 4th studio album, and although Rocky has said that this record is dropping soon and soon again, it's really starting to feel like it's never coming, but still, I decided to include it here, although it's really a wild card pick because if Rocky doesn't drop it now, his entire reputation is going to be put into serious question, as after jumping into the massive beef in the genre right now as he dissed Drake on Future and Metro Boomin's second album, We Still Don't Trust You. He's bound to get a response from Drake sometime down the road, and as he talked about how Drake's last album, For All the Dogs, specifically came and went in the diss, you can't talk about another man's album and not have a body of work out in the last 6 years to speak for your own artistry. Now with Rocky, what's even more aggravating about this entire album is that everything he's teased from it sounds great and like something that may end up being well worth the wait, as between songs that diss longtime rivals like Travis Scott to collabs with Playboi Carti, Rocky sounded so energized on the snippets we have heard, but by teasing that this album was gonna drop soon since 2022, he is really on his last leg to drop this before we officially consider Rocky as a retired artist. Now, when it comes to rappers on the verge of greatness, there are a few hip-hop artists who have more hype and potential right now than Baby Keem, and as the Kendrick Lamar protege has taken 3 years to craft his 3rd studio album, Child with Wolves, the expectations for him to deliver and become the creative force that many have believed he will mold into have never been higher. Now with Baby Keem, between his production ability, which has gotten more dynamic and unpredictable with each album he has released, to his vocals, which he has used more intricately with almost every verse and feature he's recorded, with his upcoming album, Keem has the chance to put together his ever-growing skill set into one defining body of work and give us a record that can truly push the next era of hip-hop forward. Now, in a time in hip-hop where, regardless of the quality of the music coming out, it seems like less younger artists than ever have been able to take key roles as leaders in the genre. For more than just Baby Keem, this is truly going to be an important moment for the future of the genre as a whole, as it's going to show us once and for all if Baby Keem will be able to help pioneer hip-hop's future or if we have expected too much out of him. So all in all, while there definitely is a lot of pressure on him to make a genuinely great body of work that pushes the needle forward, between working so closely with Kendrick Lamar over the past few years to all of the other experiences he has had in the industry as he has grown, I am pretty confident that Baby Keem will be able to live up to everything that people have expected from him with this new record. Now, when it comes to rappers whose next albums are expected to be groundbreaking, there is perhaps no body of work people are looking forward to more in this regard than Playboi Carti's 3rd studio album, I Am Music, and considering the feature and single run that Carti has been on since 2023, it's pretty obvious why. Playboi Carti has been a key factor in so many of the biggest rap songs of the last year, as his unmatched energy just channels something in everything he is a part of that makes it a must-hear musical experience. Now, as Carti has developed a new voice through a style that has made tracks like Travis Scott's Fiend and Kanye West's Carnival so popular, on this album, it seems like we are only going to see him master this sound, and with Carti working closely with some of the greatest musical minds of our lifetime for this project, like both Kanye himself and the one and only Pharrell Williams, it's safe to say that if Playboi Carti can just stay true to his word and finally give us this album, it will definitely change the status quo in hip-hop. Now, I know we are over 10 albums at this point, but 2024 is set to be so stacked that I have to keep going, and when it comes to the next record we are looking at, we have a top-tier creative in the rap world coming who is said to release their 10th studio album this year with experimental hip-hop titan JPEGMAFIA, and when it comes to Peggy, as his musical genius was already able to reach new audiences this year as he produced a handful of songs on Kanye's Vultures. He has never been in a position to have his cutting-edge music reach as many people as possible, so with this upcoming record, he truly has a chance to make a greater impact on the hip-hop world than he ever has, and while we don't know what sonic direction JPEG will go in and what themes he'll explore, I am sure that considering the fact that he's at the height of his popularity and he could have potential features on this record from Kanye himself, Ty Dolla $ign, Playboi Carti, and so many others, JPEG will do something that will be truly insane. And finally, the last album on this list is a pick I'm including not because it's definitely confirmed, but because I think it's inevitable due to the current state hip-hop is in, which will be another album from Drake later this year. And while Drake's recent solo projects have been pretty disliked for playing it just way too safe and starting to feel like they are just becoming parodies of who Drake once was, as Drake is now in a rap beef where he himself said he feels like he's in a 20v1. For the first time really ever, Drake should have the motivation to actually release something great like he never has before. With so many rappers dissing him, beyond just the back and forth with diss tracks, Drake has the chance to take all of this energy and put it into a project where he just goes absolutely berserk with petty energy, subliminals, and dark production like we have never seen from him. Now, while at this point, wishing Drake would use this to make something great may seem like a far reach, I do think that an album like this will be a reality because at the end of the day, Drake has released at least one project every single year since the 2020s because Drake as a brand has just gotten too big to not do so. So it only makes sense that in a year where there has been pressure and tension around Drake's name like there never has before, there will definitely be another record in the pipeline, but hopefully, it's actually a passionate one because considering where Drake's at right now, he should have all of the hunger to do something special if he really wants to prove who he portrays himself to be. So there you have it. There are the top artists who are expected to release albums in the coming months of this year, and let me know, what albums are you most excited for here and what do you think will be the best? Now, if all these albums drop, do you think 2024 could become one of the best years for hip-hop ever? I can't wait to hear what you have to say in the comments below, and if you want to see my ranking of every album between Kendrick Lamar, Drake, and J. Cole to settle the Big 3 debate once and for all, check out the suggested video.